And now back to Bobby Likis Car Clinic and your host, Bobby Likis.
Mark, thank you for coming in early. You're first in, so you're first on the air. Welcome to Bobby Likis Car Clinic.
Good morning, Bobby. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you, sir. Appreciate your asking. How about yourself?
Fine. My question for you is I have an '08 Ridgeline, has about 56,000 miles on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the problem I have is when I apply the brakes and I'm hitting a gradual bump in the road,
Mm-hmm.
I get a clunk. I don't get it when the brake is on. I'm doing 30 miles, 60 miles an hour, but as I'm going, it's a slow process, maybe turning into a driveway or a parking spot. And if I hit a bump, I get a clunk on the left front side of the vehicle.
How many miles is an '08?
56.
56. Anytime, well, of course, that means there's a suspension, grommet, joint, or bushing that is allowing something to move when it shouldn't. And of course, for every braking action, as you know, the vehicle wants to keep going, and the wheels say, whoa, and the strain is altogether put on the suspension. It tries to unwind, as you might think. Just like you accelerate, you try to, the engine tries to pull itself out of the frame, and so does the rear wheels, and the opposite's true when you brake. It actually takes more force to brake than it does to accelerate, if you can believe that. The first thing that I would do is you have to take a technician for a ride. And don't go into the shop. I think this is the best advice I can give for you, Mark. Don't take your vehicle into a shop and give them the keys and say it clunks, like you explained to me. Call ahead of time. Let's see, best time. The best time for a shop would be like 10 a.m. in the morning, if that can work for you on a specific day. And that way they can get most of their morning drives out of the way, and they get kind of a coffee break. And that way you can get a real person to sit in the seat and ride with you. And don't give them the keys. You take them for a ride and let them see, can you make this noise at your will?
No, that's the problem. I had a guy look at it and it wouldn't do it. Yeah, and I know I've had the brakes completely done over, And
It's not the brakes. It could be a caliper bolt. It wouldn't, because the caliper would not recognize a bump. What's a bump would be a tie rod end, a ball joint that becomes unloaded and then loads, or I'll tell you, sway bar bushings often give problems. And the problem with sway bar bushings, and you know what a sway bar is, by the way?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Then, as you know, when you raise a car, you lift a car on a lift and the wheels hang down, everything about the suspension is just hanging, and the sway bar is under tremendous pressure. The only time a sway bar is like neutralized is when the car is on the ground, and so it's hard to test in the air, which is where we test cars. It depends on the kind of rack. There's a rack that you drive on, which we have, and then there's a rack that you load the chassis, and then the wheels and suspension hang, and because you're actually lifting the body. And so what I would recommend is that you take this car and put it on a drive-on rack, and then take a pry bar, and most technicians have this huge screwdriver that's a couple 3 feet long, and pries around. But if you know that it's coming from the left front, then definitely that's going to be a joint. But it could also be a spring perch. It could be the actual seat where the spring is sitting. I think the key here is for you, versus before you go into a shop, I think the key is for you to, as cognizant as you are of this noise, I think you should try to determine how to duplicate the noise. And if you can duplicate the noise in your driveway, then you can find something similar in the dealership or the service shop in their driveway and make it do the same noise. So I think it's incumbent upon you, and it shouldn't be, but from a time saving, and time is money, I think that for you to be able to duplicate this noise is essential to save time and money and to get it fixed.
Okay, Bobby. Sounds great.
You understand what I'm saying there? So,
I do.
Go make it do it, and after it does it, say, well, what did I do? What did I do? And pretty soon there's a pattern somewhere. And once you have that pattern, then you can know that you can duplicate it. And once you can duplicate it and show it, then it's easier for us to find it, and it doesn't cost you all that dollars, because you can't pay a technician to go out and drive your car all day.
That's right. Hey, thanks a lot, Bobby.
Thank you for your call, Mark. Early call.
My pleasure.